Okay, so here I have a blank processing sketch, right? Do you all have a blank processing sketch to play along? Okay, first thing we want to do is make me a 900 by 500 window when this processing sketch executes. So right now when it's empty, if I push go, what's this processing script going to generate?
Everything you read.
Close.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah, if I push run, what's this going to do?
An empty window.
This is going to make an empty, which color is it going to be?
White.
It's default.
Yeah, its default color's probably white or maybe black. It's definitely not gray. It's one or the other, white or black. So if you press run,
Oh, it's gray.
it's gray.
So it's right in the middle.
See? Defies expectations every time. Okay, if I wanted to make it black, how would I make this little guy black? What do I need? Background?
Yeah, background.
Okay, so background spelled right? Yes. Error on variable declarators. What?
Well, you probably need it in this setup.
No, I don't have those yet. Stay away from setup.
Yeah.
I don't have that tool. Parentheses? Is that what goes in there?
Oh, drill.
I don't know. I'm going to try something. Maybe like this? Missing a semicolon. That seems pretty chill. Let's put a semicolon in. Okay, so now I made this square black. Yeah. This is superb, this thing I've done. Okay, so how do you guys make a black box that's 900 by 500? How do you specify the size, in other words? Right now, how big is that?
Really small.
100 by 1.
Yeah, really small. That's a default 100 by 100, right? How do I make it bigger? What do you want to change about it? What am I trying to change? This scale would be a good guess. Starts with S, but yeah, it's size. So the command you want to change the size is, lo and behold, size.
Oh.
I know, seems crazy. And then remember, processing is going to give you some hints, right? So on the bottom there, it says the function size expects parameters like size, int. What does that mean?
Integer.
Yeah, it's expecting a couple integers, so I'm going to have to feed it a couple integers. What integers do you want to feed it to make 900 by 500? Yeah, big surprise, 900 and 500. A whole bunch of being good at coding, by the way, is just like basically guessing the right command and guessing what the arguments do. You can look these up, right? Like if I want to know exactly what those two parameters in the size command do, where do I need to go?
Processing.org/reference.
Yeah, go to the API and look it up, right? Or try something and see what happens. Okay, I now have a 900 by 500 black window. Aesthetically, I think I'm going to go with... Oh, should we do something crazy?
Yes. Go ahead.
How do you make a color? Whoa. Don't raise your hand, just talk, man.
I made mine blue.
How did you make yours blue, Drake?
I typed in the number after background 450 and made it a nice light.
Why? Why did that happen? I don't know, it just happened. Okay, this is a totally valid method. I'm going to show you a different method for colors because I find that the other method, the one I'm going to show you, is a little bit more intuitive. So the method I'm going to show you is to take 3 colors.
I think that was just an error because I tried it with 343,000. John, I got blue.
Blue is like the maximum, I
I
think.
also did it was 666.
There's a good reason those are close together. We'll talk about that color scheme later, but I'm not going to do it right now.
270 gives you like a dark, almost purple.
So,
Why is it good?
different color scheme. So the color scheme I'm going to use is 3 colors. Those are red, green, and blue. Right? So if I want full blue, I'm going to try 00255. That should be fully blue. If I wanted fully red, how would I do fully red? 25500. Fully red. If I wanted, what do you get when you mix red and blue? Maybe purple-ish?
It's like weird.
It's like weird pink. Because you're adding light, not pigment. Just fiddle around with this a little bit and see if you can find some colors you like, okay? But for right now, I've got my red, green, blue color scheme, right? And that's the one I'm going to use by default. We could figure out that other color scheme, and we probably will talk about it later. But for right now, I just want to go with this one. I'm going to go with bright pink because that's my favorite color anyway. So, next thing. Now that I have a size and a background, I'm going to explore comments. I would like for you guys to do a good job commenting your code. So I'm going to try to model a bit of that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just separate out a little bit, use some white space to separate the commands that I'm issuing the computer, right? So what does this size thing do?
Size of the screen.
Yeah, that sets the size of the screen. So, oops, that's the wrong slashies. So I'm going to make a comment using the slashies. Why am I using the slashies?
So it doesn't run as code.
Exactly, because that thing's not code, right? That's me talking. If I'm doing a really good job, I'll add some comments like, why did I write this piece of code? Right? So up at the top here, I'm going to write, this is an example for CCTPG5 using size, background, and comments. Right? And maybe I would write who wrote this and a date. Cool. Why is it a good idea to have that kind of junk in here?
So everyone else looks at it with what's going on.
Yeah, so that somebody else knows what the purpose of this object is and who to ask if it's broken. Right? Also the versioning, right? There are better ways to do versioning than just including a date in the comments. But this is a good first start at versioning, right? What I mean by versioning is if I change this later, right, to do something else, I might want to mark which file is the most updated, right? Which one I've been playing with last, right? All right, so I have a set the size of screen. What's this background thing do?
It's the background color.
Yeah, that sets the background color. And I'm using RGB color mode. Cool? Okay. All right. This is how size, background, and comments work. What else would you guys like to explore? I think we need to get some drawing skills under our belts, right? So I think the first thing we need to work out is how the coordinate system works. Okay, so in order to draw something on my window, do you guys remember a command that makes drawing?
Line.
Good. We remember line. Maybe you saw rect somewhere.
And there's also a triangle.
And there's also a triangle one. There's also an ellipse. I'm going to go with the simplest, dumbest one, which I didn't show you yesterday, which is point. Oops. Typing, but nothing's happening. So point is pretty chill. What does it do?
Makes it point.
It probably makes a dot where you specified. So let me specify a spot on my screen. Let me go 100 over and 200. Oh, that feels weird, right? That should be like up from 8th grade, right? X goes to the right and Y goes up, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Bottom left, what? I don't see it. Do you guys see it?
There might be something on the screen.
It might be. I think that's just something on the screen. Oh my gosh, where'd it go?
Well, it's 1 pixel.
Yeah, it's 1 pixel, right? It's not. So how do I make it bigger? Do you guys remember? Stroke.
Wait. Stroke.
Wait. Okay. What do I put in there?
A number.
200.
Cool.
Oh gosh.
It's worth doing it.
Yeah. I'm gonna back that off a little bit because it looks a lot like an ellipse at that size. Okay, so I'm noticing that my point is, let's see. I expect that to be 1/9 of the way over, right? And not quite halfway down. Is that about right? Seems like. Okay, so if I comment this line out, how do you comment a line out?
2 dashes.
2 slashes. And what's that do?
Programming.
Yeah, it'll make it so the program will ignore it, right? So when I run this, the stroke weight command wasn't ever applied, right? And that means if I look really, really closely right there, you cannot see that at all, but there is a dot. It is a 1 pixel by 1 pixel dot, right? So keep this in mind. Sometimes you'll have to jack the stroke weight up a bit if you're working on a high-res screen, right? So let me make this something reasonable, like 5, so it looks more or less like a single pixel. You guys all got my dot? Okay, now, further question. Why didn't it go over and up?
Because of the way it is.
Yeah, because of the way it is. Processing does X's, the usual, right? X's start 0 up here and go to the right. And Y's start here and go down, which defies all sensibility from math class, but makes perfectly reasonable sense on your screen, right? Just keep in mind that the origin, right, 0, 0, is in the top left corner, and the positive Y's go down.
What happens if you use a -1? Where's it go? Oh, just off the screen?
Great question. So if I do negative Y's, it is gone. Let me make the stroke weight a little bigger. Like a lot bigger. And you will see that it still exists.
It's just off screen.
It just is off the screen. This is actually convenient and kind of annoying depending on what you're doing. Right? So processing will very happily keep track of things that are off the screen. Keep that in mind. It's really easy to accidentally push something off the screen and think that everything is broken, but it's just not visible. The same goes for if you put your point at 100, 2000. right? Where do I expect this to appear?
In the
Not to the right,
Right.
but to the
Down.
down. Right, so it exists somewhere. It's just down around, even off the laptop screen, right? Not just off of the processing window.
So if you kept upping stroke weight, would you eventually see it?
Yes. If we up the stroke rate, eventually we'll see it. And it just so happened, right, that I adjusted the stroke weight to 5,000, which covers the entire screen, right? You see that? So be just a titch careful with this stuff. There's another command you can use, which is the stroke command itself. I'm also using a word in a kind of funny way. It should be noted that I'm using the word command a lot today. And that's just because we don't know the appropriate word for what's going on here. Don't sweat it. Processing is kind of disingenuous about this word anyway. So I'm going to continue to call things that I put in the computer a command, even though they're not. Cool? All right. So what does stroke do? Oh, it tells me. The function stroke expects parameters like stroke int? What does that mean?
Integer.
Oh, okay, I'm supposed to give this thing an integer. What's your favorite integer? 255. Oops, that's not the right spot. You need to put it in the parentheses. Okay? What happened?
So you're not white.
It turned the dot white. Why did it turn the dot white?
Because it's color.
Is it the color?
Oh, because the stroke sets the color that you're drawing in, right? It should be noted that the stroke sets the color of the kind of lines and edges. We'll fiddle with this when we get a shape that's filled in later. How would I make it red instead of white? Like, nice. Same color scheme, right? The red, green, blue color scheme works in the same way. Let's see. And if I... Oh, it's not even going to yell at me about that. Okay, forget it. I wanted to highlight a thing, but... It's hard to see, but it's red.
What's mixing active and static?
Don't do that. Don't mix active and static.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you later. It's well beyond today's scope.
Okay.
So, here I have my dot. It is now red. Cool? Everybody good with this? So, I have so far learned how to set the size of the screen, how to set the background with a color. What did the stroke command do?
Set the color of stroke.
Set color of stroke. That is not super enlightening, right? But I'm going to go with it. And what's the stroke weight?
The size or the density.
Yeah, it's kind of the size of the stroke, right? And what did the command point do?
Made a point.
Perfect. Cool. Good. Check. Everybody got this? Something like this? You all fiddled around with this a little bit? Made it different? Okay. Perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is illustrate good coding practice. When you have fiddled about with something and learned a little bit from it, what should you do?
Comment.
Celebrate.
Yeah, after you've commented, right? We've commented. We should delete this and never think about it again, right? No. Save it. So, save it someplace convenient. So, let's see. I'm going to make on my desktop a new folder. That I'm going to call sketches. And into said sketch folder, I'm going to save the file. What did I learn to do with this one?
How to make a position point.
Yeah, I had size, right? Background, comments and coordinates. And some stroke stuff. Right? So I am really, really lazy about what I name stuff. I'm just going to name it the thing I learned and save it. Cool? Okay. Next thing.